Caitlyn has not had a proactive approach around toxic fandom and what's appropriate for, or something that she celebrates or likes to see in her fan base, or being proactive against any type of hateful discourse around WNBA and its players. However, when she's been prompted, she has spoken very clearly on those matters and has taken a strong stance that none of that is acceptable.
One of the refreshing aspects of Caitlin Clark is her willingness to speak out against racism. She has been very vocal about her stance, making it clear that she does not condone any form of discrimination. It's interesting how often the conversation focuses on one direction, while the racism that goes the other way often goes unaddressed. Clark's commitment to social issues adds depth to her persona and highlights the importance of discussing all forms of racism in sports and society.
That's what we are seeing here with the Indiana Fever. We have to push this hate and jealousy to the side. It's so unnecessary. I hope that we move past it. She's elevating the game. She continues to do it and prove herself.
I'm sorry to hear that many people are facing attacks from Angel Reese fans.
Because she's so critical. And again, it's the Jackie Robinson. She has success. It's going to encourage and inspire other women to stand up.
Exactly. It's not something you often hear about, especially from those in the media. It seems like it gets overlooked, doesn't it?
Even though, I'm dead, Caitlyn's doing it very subtly, if at all. Maybe it's all unintentional. But I do know she's the target.
We're currently discussing RZ Gold on Wood, who recently appeared on Asterisk, the Dan LeBader show Asterisk. It's not surprising that she chose this platform to express her views on various social issues. However, she has faced considerable backlash for her comments, and I hope Caitlin Clark is aware of how this situation might impact her brand.
They're all trying to frame this, the Caitlin Clark deal, in this racial envelope, and they're wrong.
Let's tune in and observe the reactions, as it appears she's really feeling the heat from this. Honestly, it's clear that her political views may not align with mine, but she hasn't directly engaged in politics. What exactly do they expect from her?
They're not talking about basketball because you don't want to talk about basketball, just as you described there. You couldn't get any traction based on your basketball. And so you decided, hey, we got to talk about racism and sexism to draw attention.
Is it really necessary to be an activist to compete in this league? That just doesn't make sense to me. These players should realize that if she were to make some outrageous comment against white people, that's exactly what some seem to be hoping for, right?
You have to kneel during the national anthem to draw attention. It's bad strategy. You just wanted attention. You were being an attention whore.
All right, let's pause there. Why isn't that enough? I truly don't understand.
Someone showed up here who plays good enough basketball to draw attention, and now people are actually evaluating my basketball. They're having conversations about, well, who's Rookie of the Year? Who's the MVP? Is it Caitlin Clark? Is it A'ja Wilson? People are talking about basketball.
Is participating in every Pride Parade a requirement to be part of this league? Is that what it takes to play in the WNBA?
However, when she's been prompted, she has spoken very clearly on those matters and has taken a strong stance that none of that is acceptable.
Caitlin played at Iowa and yearly transferred to Notre Dame. Seriously, is anyone paying attention? It's just unbelievable.
This whole thing of, racism stopped the WNBA. No, it didn't. No, it didn't. Here's the facts. Here's what's been the problem with the WNBA. Now, I'm sorry, these are just true facts.
JC, just let her be. She's already shared her thoughts, and it's honestly astonishing how much attention this is receiving.
You had too many women tatted up and looking like men, that it was unattractive. People don't want to see that.
I mean, someone even sarcastically remarked that Caitlin Clark hasn't commented on Russia's invasion of Ukraine in nearly 2 years. Are they suggesting she's a Russian asset? We really need to start developing a backbone and a bit of an identity.
Can we just like call a spade a spade? Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new
for
thing.
sure.
This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlyn's being used as a. Caitlyn didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening, and that I think is what's been such a shock for all of us. That other people are surprised by this. We've been trying to tell you, and once again, for so long, as a player, I would almost
It's just absurd. I genuinely appreciate that viewpoint.
start to learn that people were learning from us and able to follow us in a different way. And who are we following? Black women. So that's such an important part. And I think, again, I get sad when I talk about this a little bit in that we're still not talking about basketball.
No.
We're still not allowed to be focused on for our basketball play. And it's not to say we're not going to continue to combat these things. That'll always exist, I think, in the fabric of our league. But we still aren't talking about basketball.
Sure, people can claim it's her choice, but it feels like they've already formed their opinions about her if she chooses to take a different path.
We started to build a backbone, a little bit of an identity.
Got
we
organized.
understood that in order to push our league forward, we were going to have to combat these things. And then you know what else we learned? It feels good to stand up for yourself. It feels even better to stand up for others.
It's as if everyone expects her to be the next Caitlyn Luther King. That's just hilarious.
I'd be like, I would have loved to have shut up and dribble. In so many ways, I would have loved to have been valued as a basketball player. I would have been loved to have been spoken about just for my play. I think everybody in the league can say that. But nobody ever let us do that. So what happened?
Who gives them the right to make demands? It's truly puzzling. This situation is only going to continue, and Caitlyn will likely keep facing criticism on the court.
Well, don't want to see women doing an impersonation of men. I know that everybody in San Francisco and everybody on the left loves a drag show, but there are a lot of traditional sports fans who have no interest in going to a drag
The
show.
troubling part is that Caitlyn Clark could genuinely be hurt by this situation. It seems like nothing will ever satisfy these critics, and they're aware that any backlash could harm her brand. They don't seem to care about the consequences. They gain nothing from it. It feels like they don't want her to succeed, and honestly, their behavior seems driven by jealousy. She has made her stance clear, and it's time for people to ignore the trolls and strip them of their power. Caitlyn doesn't need to comment on imaginary racism. It's completely understandable. It's wild to think she has to be some sort of activist. In fact, that kind of advocacy has made the WNBA less appealing. She should just focus on playing basketball. Why does it seem like every player in this league has to take on the role of an activist? It's ridiculous. Caitlyn has already stated that she doesn't support racism, but that still isn't enough. What they expect from her? Should she dye her hair purple or something? I almost joked about her going blackface, but wow, that would really blow up in her face. Seriously, come on. She's just a walking example of indifference. Nothing to see here, just move along. I've watched my favorite player get completely sidelined on the court, and all they say is that they just play hard. Sure, but it feels like mugging every third game is a real issue. Overall, I love physical basketball, but I don't want wrestling antics mixed in. I watch those on a different channel, and yes, I'm a huge football fan. That's a whole different sport.
Freak athletes. Caitlin Clark effect has now hit the WNBA. It has been announced today.
Because there's a league with players that feel like they should be getting the attention. Now they have center stage, but the ratings are going to go down. How far, though?
It's going to be, before the argument was the league is much more than this one girl that came into the league,
Right.
and we've established it. And hey, look at the numbers everywhere else across women's basketball. It's not just Caitlin Clark; it's all of us. And then the moment the ratings tank, they're going to come back and say, "See, we were right all along. It's all the racists that follow Caitlin Clark that were watching the product, and now they're gone, and we're back with our diehards." And that's the ratings that you're seeing. Actual W fans, not WNBA.
Sorry.
Actual
You're right.
W fans.
Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world are they ignoring her?
You won't believe it. Nike has finally gotten Caitlyn Clark to break her silence, but not before Adidas did.
And with that, Nike has not done one thing to promote her. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark signature shoe.
Adidas was miles ahead in congratulating Clark on her Rookie of the Year success.
It's like, wow, Caitlin Clark comes out of Iowa, and I started saying, after her junior year in college, like, hey man, she's the biggest star in college sports. And then after what she did at Iowa her senior year, I started saying, hey, I think she's going to be the biggest star in sports.
What an incredible first season. Congratulations to Caitlin Clark, the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year.
And we've never seen this. This is a woman in America that is going to dwarf the men in terms of popularity and influence, driving. We haven't seen this since Tiger.
Caitlin Clark's Rookie of the Year award sold out in just 50 minutes. That's what Nike honored her with for her record-breaking first season in the WNBA.
WNBA's never had anything. Nothing. Cheryl Miller couldn't really move the needle. Candace Parker couldn't really move the needle. Now they have this one.
Just a t-shirt. That's it. There was no mention of her own shoes. While A'ja Wilson has received promotions and is at the forefront of Nike's WNBA campaign.
He's made the WNBA relevant, and I'm like, why isn't she being promoted, and how did Nike get her at such a reasonable, wasn't it at 22 or 32?
$28 million
over 8 years. I'm like, that doesn't add up.
Even though it was just a simple shirt showcasing Caitlin's records, it sold out in 50 minutes. Remarkably, that shirt only took 5 minutes to produce, yet it shattered sales records, outpacing anything A'ja Wilson has accomplished for Nike.
Some of this might be a little bit of revisionist history. Going into we all sat here and argued that she should go back to Iowa.
Yeah.
Because she would die and get swallowed up in the WNBA and everybody would stop watching her. That's when Nike struck.
How can Nike produce such a basic shirt after such an incredible season? If Caitlin were with Adidas, she likely would have already had her own shoe, and it would be sold out everywhere.
Like, hey, this will be over with after college, and said so on this show. And my memory, and it could be wrong, but within 72 to what's 72 times 86, 96 hours? Is it 24 times 7 plus 20, 96? Within 4 days, I'm telling you, I think I had pivoted to, I
definitely pivoted after the WNBA draft. For sure you were pivoted by then, so it was before there was a game.
Okay.